Well, hello, beautiful people. How we all doing today? I hope you all having a great day. For those of you returning for another one of my videos, I want to say thank you, much appreciated. And for those of you who are new to my channel, this is Skelly by Nature. I am Skelly. And today, up here in New England, we are approaching winter. It's towards the end of fall, and with winter comes sickness. We all hate to say it, but it is that time of season again. So I thought today's video, what we could do is a video on some lemon drops candies that I like to make. And with these candies, a lot of times I like to use them pre getting a cold, because it's going to have some good peppermint in it that's going to help you boost your immune system, as well as some other ingredients that are good for just trying to evade being sick in the first place. But they also serve as a good cough drop if you do need to have something to soothe your throat. So let's get right down to it, and I'll show you how I make my wonderful lemon drops. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need is we're going to need a pan, a pot, something heavy duty, something that's going to be able to take the excess heat. As well as one thing that I like is I'm using a pot that's got some pretty high sides. The reason is we are going to, when we make this candy, there's not a lot of ingredients involved with it, but what does happen is it does tend to bubble. So I like to have a nice high sided pot when I make these. So make sure that's the first thing that we're going to need. And so the next thing that we're going to start off with our base, you can do two things. You can use honey if you like. Today, I'm going to be using blue Agave. I'm going to see how that works. This is kind of a little experiment for me. Normally, when I've made these in the past, I've always used honey. But I figured I'm going to try something a little different today. So we're going to put a half a cup of either honey, or like I said, I'm using Agave. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use a 1 teaspoon of lemon. And I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of peppermint. Now this is a peppermint oil that I have shown you guys how to make in my other videos, so I'll attach that video down below for those of you who are interested in making your own peppermint. And then what I'm going to do is I'm throwing in a little bit, probably about, again, a little more than a teaspoon of white horehound. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take our burner, and you're going to want to turn your burner on to a medium high or so, a medium. And we're going to let this boil up. And I'm going to just give this a good stirring right now, get everything all mixed up. We get the horehound, which also helps with breaking up mucus within our body. We get the peppermint, which is going to boost our immune system. The agave is going to help coat our throat, so if you need to use it as a cough drop. So when you do this, the other thing that's good to have too is once this gets going, you're going to want to have a candy thermometer. And when I am doing this, I use a wooden spatula to help mix. So we're going to let that sit and let that heat up and boil, get to a boiling point. Okay, so as you can see, we got it starting to boil. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make sure that you have your temperature, like a medium to a low. The idea we don't want to burn. So we're going to keep stirring, because what happens is you end up burning the sugar. So we're just going to keep stirring. This is going to keep boiling. When you do this, make sure you have the time and you got nothing that's going to distract you with this too, because this is a very quick process and things happen very quickly. And it's not something you can just kind of let sit and walk away from, because bad things happen when you do that. So I'm just going to keep stirring this because, like I said, we don't want any of this to burn. And what we're going to do is we're going to just keep cooking this off until we hit the crack point, or what we call the crack point, which is 300 degrees. And that's what's nice about having a candy thermometer. If you have a candy thermometer, it's good to use one of these. The glass thermometers that you would use, I don't recommend. I used to use one in the past, and then I was doing candies one day and the whole thing just cracked and right into my mixture, so I had to throw that whole thing away. So we're just going to keep stirring. Basically, I'm just continuously stirring. Now, if for some reason I got this pretty close to control, but if it does really start to froth on you and get really heated up, what you can do is just slide it off the stove. Let the foam kind of come down. See how it just came down a little bit, and that helps you again from burning. Again, we don't want this to burn, because then you get obviously a burnt taste on your candies. So it's frothing up on us again. You can pull it away for a little bit real quick, and then we're just going to put it right back down and keep going. Okay, so I'm getting really close to the 300 point, or what we call the cracking point. When you get to this point, you know I'm looking at a thermometer, but in case you don't have a thermometer, you can do what we call the cold method test, where you just take a spoon, take a little bit out and drop it in a little thing of cold water, and if it hardens right up, then you know you're ready to go. So I'm just about at the point. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this off to the side, and I'm going to let this cool for a moment. Okay, so this next step we can do in two different ways. If you got candy molds, like I'm using candy molds here. But if you don't have candy molds, you can just take a spoon, and what you can do is just put little drops on parchment paper, and they'll harden up that way. I'm going to be using these today. Okay, so there we have our drops, lemon drops in our molds. Now what I'm going to do is the best thing is make sure you take your utensils that you use and put them right. Get them in some water right away, and that way they don't harden on you. Because once it hardens, then you got to loosen it up again. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to let these sit, and we're going to let these harden up for a little while, and then I will show you the next step. Okay, so I'm back, and my candies have now hardened. So now we're going to move on to the final step. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove my candies from my moldings. If you did the spoon method where you just put some drops on a cookie sheet, you can just remove those as well. And so I'm just going to pop these out. And as you can see, we get a nice pretty candy. Nice color to it. And so the last thing that we're going to do is I'm going to take the candies, and I took a tablespoon full of confectionery sugar. You can use powdered sugar or anything like that. And And I'm just going to toss them in. The reason I do this is because if you put these together, so I'm going to throw a couple in and then shake them up. What happens is they'll stick together. So I just like to coat them with some of the sugar that will stop them from sticking to each other. And then once I'm done with this process, I usually keep them right in the bag that I have them in right now. And I put these in my fridge. If you leave them out, you got to be careful, you know, that they don't get into sunlight or any heat sources, because they will melt. And then when they set back up again, they set back up all stuck together. So, as you can see, I now have some beautifully coated lemon drops. Oh, there was one more. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a little something today. I hope you guys get the pleasure to make some of these. Make a comment down below if you do. Let me know what you think of them. And if there's anything else that you think could better the recipe, or other ideas or anything like that, drop me a comment as well. And please do me a favor. You know the routine. Hit that like button. Share this video with anyone you think might be interested, as well as subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. So until the next video, be beautiful, be awesome.